Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Thursday. Means we're brought to you by Rouse's Markets. Working towards the weekend. Got Jacob Beck and Casey Gaines back there on the ones and twos. Appreciate you hanging out with us here in the afternoons on your weekdays. Plenty to get to. Luke Johnson in 15 minutes on the black and gold. That is a brutal injury report we saw yesterday from New Orleans. We'll see what the update is today from Luke Johnson as the Saints look forward to the Carolina Panthers. Derek Young covers Kansas State. He's going to be flying to Baton Rouge tomorrow for this Saturday game, which impressed me for a website to send a beat writer down for a non-conference game in December. Hey, that's pretty solid. And LSU and K-State will play on Saturday in the PMAC, so Derek's going to join us today to talk about this Kansas State team that is coming into Baton Rouge. Best win and worst loss in the NFL to close out the hour, as well as some of my thoughts on the world of golf right now. I'm going to give you some numbers on Saints and Panthers in hour number 2. Chris Blair from the LSU Sports Radio Network will be with us in hour 2 as well. And there's plenty of transfer portal news to get to in the second hour as well. So lock us in until 3 o'clock. We're thrilled that you're here. Today, Mel Kiper put out an extensive piece on his preliminary scouting of Jaden Daniels. There's no secret that Jaden Daniels has taken the football world by storm over the last 3 months. Not just the college football world, which he'll individually conquer on Saturday, but also the professional ranks, whether it's the organizations doing the scouting or those that cover that and are having to scout him themselves. And certainly Mel Kiper is the godfather of that industry as far as the media goes. And so I don't want to straight plagiarize his entire article here, but I do think that it's very interesting to hear from him almost strictly from a professional scouting perspective. This has nothing to do with whether or not LSU won the West or whether or not he's going to win the Heisman. It has nothing to do with how he compares to Michael Penix against top 25 teams. Like, this is purely what the NFL will look at when they think of Jaden Daniels. And so as I continue to rattle through statistics and observations, these are not mine. These are Mel Kiper's. And if you'd like to read the entire story, you can do so at ESPN.com if you subscribe to ESPN+. I'll add my color to it, but it was an interesting read to me, and Mel pointed out some things that I don't know that I was acutely aware of. So we'll start with the fact that Mel says that Daniels has gone from a likely day 3 NFL draft pick to a legitimate round 1 prospect in the 2024 class. I have him number 4 in my quarterback rankings, ahead of fellow Heisman finalists Bo Nix and Michael Penix, but he would slide up a spot if Colorado's Shedeur Sanders really does stay in school. And we expect that Shedeur Sanders will stay in school and play for his dad one more year. So he would have Jaden Daniels as the number 3 quarterback in the country, presumably behind Caleb Williams and Drake May, which is fantastic. Statistically speaking, as you compare his first 3 years at Arizona State to his final 2 years at LSU, it's impressive to watch the development. He started 29 games at Arizona State. He started 26 at LSU, so a 3-game difference there in your sample size. Touchdown passes, he went from 32 at Arizona State to 57. That's almost double. Interceptions, he went from 13 to 7. That's almost cutting him in half. He's completing 70% of his throws at LSU to 62% at Arizona State, so an 8-point bump there in completion percentage, and he's run for 8 more touchdowns at LSU than he did at Arizona State. Every single statistic about doubling or cutting in half, depending on what you're trying to do, in his progression from 3 years as a starter at Arizona State to 2 at LSU, which you would expect in terms of development, but when you realize that he played more games at Arizona State, those numbers are impressive to me. He ranks number 1 in the country this year. Number 1, not top 5, not top 10, not 1 in the SEC. Number 1 in the country in QBR, touchdown passes from inside the pocket, yards per attempt, yards per drop back, and 20-plus yard passes. Number one in the country in every single one of those statistics, which I had no idea he was tops in the country in passes from the pocket. Michael Penix never leaves the pocket, so that's impressive for Jaden Daniels. Now, here's something that I didn't realize as well. There are only 4 starters in the last decade in the NFL who had 1,000-yard rushing seasons in college. You would have figured Lamar Jackson, he did it twice. Kyler Murray makes a lot of sense as well, and Jalen Hurts did it. The other one I didn't realize, Deshaun Watson ran for 1,000 yards in 2015. Now, I realize they played a lot of games, so that helps. You get to a national final in the playoff area. That takes care of itself in a way. But only 4 starters in college football in the last 10 years of NFL starting have ran for 1,000 yards, and Jaden Daniels has done that. Oh, by the way, he averaged 8.4 yards per carry this season. That tops those other 4 quarterbacks by more than a full yard in terms of rushing yards per attempt. I didn't realize this. Jaden Daniels only had 58 designed runs this year. 55 scrambles, 58 designed runs. During Jackson's Heisman winning season, he had 150 designed runs. That's almost 100 more they were designing for him to run. Jaden's doing a lot of this, extending the play, breaking down the defense, and making things happen off the cuff. Now, in 2019, Jaden Daniels completed 49% of his passes that went 10 yards. Under 50%, barely, but under 50% on passes that went 10 yards. This past season, he completed 52% of those and had 6 touchdowns with no picks. 6 touchdowns, no interceptions on taking chances down the field. That was what we were talking about last year when he wasn't taking those shots, and Brian Kelly was going, maybe sometimes you do need to maybe turn the ball over because you've got to take some shots. And this year, Jaden Daniels did that, but he didn't throw any picks. That was in 2022. This year, he's completing 63% of those passes with 29 touchdowns. 1 pick. 63% completion rate. Balls over 20 yards. 29 touchdowns, 1 pick. That's amazing. Only J.J. McCarthy completed more in terms of completion percentage than Jaden Daniels this year. And he writes, Mel Kiper does, the best part about Daniels, he only runs when the play breaks down. He does almost all of his passing damage from inside the pocket. 35 of his 40 touchdowns were from inside the pocket, and that was first in the FBS. That is, in essence, the game. Because, yes, Patrick Mahomes makes plays outside the pocket. So does Josh Allen. So does Jalen Hurts. They're athletic guys. Trevor Lawrence is very athletic. Joe Burrow moves his feet and makes things happen. But they all make the best and the greats win games from inside the pocket. And Jaden Daniels has done that better than anyone in college football this year. He's got tantalizing ability. The numbers are off the charts. He's going to win all these awards. But I think the first thing NFL teams have to evaluate is, can you win from inside the pocket? 35 of his 40 touchdowns were in the pocket, through a progression, delivering the ball on time and accurately. That is the biggest feather in the cap, I think, for Jaden Daniels. How about his ability to take care of the football? You think NFL teams prioritize that? He has 20 career interceptions thrown in 1,438 attempts. That's a 1.3% interception rate. 20 picks in 1,438 attempts. It's kind of the perfect marriage when you look at all these things statistically. Can he win from the pocket first? Yes, better than anybody in college football this year. Can he get outside the pocket? Yes. When he does that and extends plays, does he make a crazy play and turn it over? No. One of the best in the country. Is he productive? Yes. Is he accurate? Yes. None of these guys are sure things. None of them. And Jaden Daniels, I'm not even trying to suggest, is a sure thing. But he looks to me to be a guy that I would absolutely take a shot on in the NFL. And Mel Kiper concludes this by saying, I have a round one grade on him. I could see, and he goes through some teams, but I'll give you the pick because that's more important. 9th pick, 10th pick, 13th pick, 21st pick. I'll tell you this. Based on what we see from NFL teams come draft time, I would be shocked if he was available at 21. It happens. It happens every year. Somebody slips and slides. But Jaden Daniels, to me, appears to have elevated himself to a level at the college game that NFL teams are going to have to take a chance on him. And I remember thinking, and it was against Grambling, and who cares about Grambling? Because that doesn't matter. But his ability on one play in that game to escape the pocket, keep his eyes downfield, not tuck it and run, get close to the sideline, and flick it over the top of the defense, perfectly drop it in the bucket for Brian Thomas, who took it the distance, that looked like an NFL throw to me. I don't know that his arm strength is the best. It's not Josh Allen. I don't even think it's Jalen Hurts. It's not Patrick Mahomes. But you can win with a tick down on arm strength. You can't win if your decision-making's poor, if your accuracy's poor. You got no chance. Jaden Daniels has shown this year he's got that. You can win without being an elite athlete, but it certainly helps, and he's got that. I think that this is a really exciting thing. And I was thinking about this as I was putting my thoughts together, reading this Mel Kiper article. I was like, man, I've adopted the Bengals as my team. And that's because of Joe Burrow, and Jamar Chase makes that easier to do as an LSU guy without a deep NFL allegiance. But I think Jaden Daniels is going to start somewhere sometime soon. And I'm going to pull for him. Absolutely. I lose track of some of the defensive tackles, and, I want Jets to do well in Minnesota, but I don't pull for the Vikings. But for some reason, when the quarterback's there, it makes things easier. And really, because Flynn never caught on as a full-time starter and Jamarcus washed out so quick, Mettenberger had a little chance in Tennessee, but it didn't happen. I've never had an NFL quarterback until Joe Burrow that was entrenched in that guy. And Jaden Daniels very well could be number 2. And I'll welcome that on Sundays. If I don't catch the Bengals, but maybe Jaden's team's playing somewhere else, that would be a new little niche for me on Sundays. And if Joe goes out for the year, which has now happened twice, I can detour over to Jaden's squad. I don't think he's going to overtake the Bengals. It's my first true love in the NFL. I can't totally quit them. But this is going to be cool, I think, to see Jaden Daniels once he gets his shot in the NFL. I believe we've seen him in the last time he was in an LSU uniform. That's no inside information, just the way that I feel about it. But I think we'll see him again in an NFL uniform, and I think he'll come off the board really, really quickly. And it was cool to see Mel Kiper kind of dive into some of those statistics and go, yeah, this guy's got every good that we're looking for. It's Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Rouse's. When we come back, Luke Johnson at Talkin' Saints. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is that website. Financing is available at One Bath and Closets. David Duvall and his team happy to offer you some options in terms of financing your bathroom renovation, your closet remodel or renovation. They can help you do that. If you're locked into a great interest rate, you don't want to move your home, but you feel like you could really upgrade, they can do it for you. Bring One Bath and Closets in. Go through the free consultation. They'll let you know what they can do. Could be a full-scale renovation of your bathroom. Could be just a tub-to-shower conversion. Also, safety is such a big thing in the bathroom, specifically with those folks that are aging, whether it's you or whether it's a loved one that's in your life. Non-stick floors. Can do handrails around the tub and shower areas. They can do a walk-in tub for convenience. All of these things are possible, but you won't know what they can do for you unless you get One Bath and Closets in for that free consultation. Visit them online at onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
For a Friday edition of Off the Bench, as we preview Week 14 in the NFL, including Saints versus Panthers. Plus, we recap Pelicans-Lakers from Las Vegas and the Thursday night football matchup between the Steelers and the Patriots. 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You are listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
He's in the concussion protocol. Feels pretty good, with all the other deals that he's dealing with. So, again, like I said earlier this week, we'll go through the concussion protocol, see where we're at in terms of him being cleared by the doctors, and then we'll know where we're at after that.
That's Dennis Allen yesterday. I believe the number was 27 players on the combined injury report between the Saints and the Panthers for this matchup in the Superdome on Sunday. Luke Johnson covers the Saints for The Advocate and joins us every single Thursday on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Luke, it's a beat-up group.
Yeah, man. This is a team that was really healthy the first 10 games of the year, and then all of a sudden the kind of wheels have started to fall off on the healthy player bus. So. Look, I don't know what they're going to look like out there on Sunday. It's not going to be nearly as bad as it was at other points in the last couple of years, like that COVID game against the Dolphins is coming to mind. But they're beat up, man, and they have important players missing time. So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see what the final injury report looks like tomorrow, and how many players actually get ruled out.
That COVID game against the Dolphins, I was in the hospital. My son was born the day before that, and I'm thankful that his eyes had not developed to the point where he could see like 8 inches in front of his face. Because I'm going to tell him eventually, you're very glad you didn't have to watch that game because it was truly awful to watch Ian Book try to play quarterback against the Miami Dolphins. Who's going to play quarterback for the Saints in this game?
I can't believe I'm about to say it, but I feel like it's going to be Derek Carr. If you would have asked me on like Tuesday or even Wednesday morning before practice, I would have said like a 5% chance maybe that he plays. But he's been out there practicing this week, and he's trending in the right direction. I mean, he's still got to clear some hurdles with the COVID protocol, and this is a thing where this can change at any minute, depending on his symptoms and how he's testing in the protocol. But I mean, it's looking like he is tracking and trending toward playing.
I know that he says most of the right things or nothing in press conferences. What do you think Derek Carr really feels about the way year one has gone here in New Orleans?
I think he's really disappointed. And he, like you said, he does say the right things in these press conferences, and particularly about his teammates' play and his particular mood about how things are going. But I mean, how can he not be, right? He's 12 games into his career. He's getting booed every time he steps on the field. That's certainly not what he was anticipating coming here. And I'm sure he anticipated more team success. He anticipated more individual success. I don't know if you can call it like an abject failure. They're still in a position to maybe win the division, but it hasn't gone good. And I'm sure that he is very disappointed with how it's gone, both personally and for the team as a whole.
When the crowd booed, that was because Taysom Hill was coming off the field. He missed practice yesterday. Foot and hand issue is what Dennis Allen said. What can you tell us there, and can you expect him to be the red zone guy this week?
I don't know what to expect with that one. That's a really tricky one. I mean, Taysom is a tough guy. He fights through a lot of injuries, a lot of stuff that people don't know about. You see him after the game in the locker room, and the guy is just like covered in ice. It's just because of the style of football he plays. He's just a very tough dude. And the Saints have kind of bucked their trend lately. The whole Sean Payton era, if a guy didn't practice Wednesday and Thursday, you could pretty much count on him being ruled out on Friday. The Saints, I mean, just as recently as last week, under Dennis Allen, Cam Jordan didn't practice a single snap last week, and he played on Sunday against the Lions. So it's not like completely out of the realm of possibility, but it's not looking good for Taysom Hill. I'm not really sure if he's going to be available, and obviously that's a huge blow for them. Even going up against the 1-11 Panthers team, I mean, he's really kind of the engine that's driving this offense right now.
Alvin Kamara is always good for an honest soundbite. He was talking about the boos yesterday. What did you take from that?
Yeah, I mean, just that. It's that he's an honest person. He's like, look, I don't like it, but I understand it from a fan perspective. They haven't been good enough offensively, even though the numbers look fine, right? Especially since that Week 5 game against Houston, they've been putting up a lot of yards. Their scoring is up from where it was earlier in the year. But just aesthetically, it's not there, right? And the frustration with the fan base is, obviously palpable. I mean, they hear it on the field. How can you not hear it? Their bench was facing that lower bowl that was looked almost completely blue, like Detroit Lions blue last week. So, I mean, they're all disappointed with it. They're frustrated by it, but the fans the players understand it. They know it hasn't been good enough. And they know that, the fan base is going to love them when things are going well. But this fan base in particular will let you know when it's not going well. I mean, the Saints fan base is famous for the bags over their heads, right? So they're going to let you know. And I think they're kind of coming to terms with that now.
I think a lot of criticism, rightly so, has been heaped on the offense and Derek Carr and Pete Carmichael and all of that. But could you argue the defense has been more disappointing over the last month?
Absolutely. This is like something we've talked about so often over the last couple of years. It's like, man, if this offense could just score like 23, 24 points a game, like a average NFL offense, they'd win a lot of games. Well, they're doing that now. it just hasn't mattered because their defense has just fallen off a cliff. And I really think you can point to just about everybody in that unit besides the secondary. Secondary, I think, is holding up their end of the bargain, but they haven't been nearly as good up front. That first drive with the Lions, I mean, they converted a 3rd and 7 on the ground. They ran for 60 yards on 6 rushing attempts. They were just getting pushed all across that whole offensive line against that Saints defensive front. And then the linebackers haven't been stepping up and making their plays. So, it's been bad on the defensive side, and I think outside of the secondary, it's been just really disappointing.
We knew they were going to overhaul the defensive front in the offseason. They did that. Two of their biggest free agents signings, not named Derek Carr, were right there in the interior of the defense, and then they went out and drafted a couple defensive linemen on the first 2. How would you assess those, the free agent signings and the 2 draft picks now that we're in December in year 1? Do we have Luke or we lose him? I think we may have lost Luke there. I want to get his thoughts on that because that was a big deal. You looked at a lot of the guys, on that defensive unit that had been there for so long on a group that was doing a great job stopping the run and being an awesome unit that was never let anybody run for 100 yards. And so you decided you were going to move on from all of those guys and you were going to go out and make some free agent acquisitions. So you go out and you use your cash outside of the Derek Carr spending. The 2 biggest signings, I would argue, were Colin Sanders and Nathan Shepard. And then you went and drafted Brian Brzee as well. So I'm just curious what Luke thinks about the fact that what those guys have been to this point. We know the pass rush hasn't been great outside of Granderson, and Cam Jordan's been banged up and hadn't practiced for 2 weeks. I'm just curious what he thinks of those 2 guys. I think we may have Luke now. But your thoughts on Shepard, Saunders, Brzee, and Foskey to this point?
I think out of that group, the only one I'm really optimistic about is Brzee. Saunders has been kind of just a non-entity on this team. Or not Saunders, Shepard.
Yeah.
Saunders makes a play every now and then, but I don't know exactly what he is. Is he a run stopper? Is he somebody who's going to give you some push? And he hasn't really done a whole lot in that department. And Foskey. Yeah, he looks more like a late round pick right now than a second round pick, which you think you'd be able to count on your early draft picks to contribute meaningful snaps. And that just hasn't been the case with Foskey. I don't think it's too late for him. I think he can develop, but you don't really want to develop your second round picks like that. So I think Brzee is still going to be a good player. I think rookie defensive tackles are always a little bit behind the curve. That's a really tough position to come in and contribute in a meaningful, big way right away. I think defensive tackle and tight end are probably the hardest positions for rookies to make a big impact. He's shown enough flashes where I feel really good about him, but the rest of it on that defensive line, I really, outside of Carl Granderson and Brian Brzee, I don't know. Even Cam Jordan, I think he's still playing at a very high level as a run defender, but you're not paying the guy $15 million a year or whatever he's making to stop the run. You need some pass rush. So I don't feel good about a lot of those pieces they have just in terms of the future outlook.
You can take this one any way you want to. How big a game is Sunday?
Well, it's huge. They've got so much ground to make up. If they're going to legitimately contend for this NFC South title, they've got to win a lot of games because they're essentially 2 games behind Atlanta in the standings. Because they're just getting owned in every possible tiebreaker. And that includes the wild card tiebreakers too. They lost head to head to the number 6 and 7 seed in the current playoff standings in Green Bay and Minnesota. They've got a big head to head game against the Rams, who are also ahead of them in the wild card standings. But Atlanta's 3-0 in the division right now. The Saints are 1-2. Atlanta's got a better record against common opponents. So the only chance the Saints have is if they go into week 18 with a better record or the same record as Atlanta, right? And so they've got to make up a lot of ground. It has to start with a win against a 1-11 team. And if you lose this game, I just don't know how you can justify to the fan base that you need to bring back a lot of people from this team.
Yep.
Because they'll essentially be out of it because they lost to the worst team in football. Regardless of the division game stuff, those games are always close. We saw the Bucs kind of struggle with the Panthers last week, and the Bucs are in the mix too. Regardless of all that, they have to win this game. And if they don't, you can absolutely count on just a lot of change.
Luke, we appreciate the time. Enjoy the football Sunday.
Thanks, man.
He's Luke Johnson, covers the Saints for The Advocate. That's been the consensus. We asked Sean Fazand earlier. We asked Sharif earlier. How big a game is this? It's pretty big for this entire organization if you want to have any chance of moving forward at all. We'll change gears here when we come back. Talk LSU and Kansas State. They'll play in basketball coming up on Saturday. K-State in the Elite Eight last year. Big win against Villanova earlier this week. Derek Young covers the Wildcats, and he'll tell us about this team coming into the PMAC. Coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Get ready to start the NFL week off right, because right now all customers get a no-sweat same-game parlay for Thursday Night Football. Just place a 3-leg same-game parlay on this week's game between the Pats and Steelers, and you get bonus bets back if you don't win. NFL same-game parlays, perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payday. So build your own or choose one of the same-game parlays that are popular, pre-built for you in FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. Visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN so you don't miss out on your chance to get a no-sweat same-game parlay on America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. Refund issues and eligible bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you're someone who knows gambling problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. $20,000 off plus no payments for 90 days on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks.
Friday edition of Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road. Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Moving right along on a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate you hanging out with us as we work towards the weekend. Of course, the weekend is going to bring us some hoops here in the capital city. It'll be LSU and Kansas State on Saturday inside the PMAC. Derek Young covers Kansas State for the On3 Network, and he joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Derek, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Getting ready to head to Baton Rouge tomorrow.
We like to hear that. I believe the high's 81 on Saturday, so you don't really need to bring a jacket. That's the kind of the deal around here in December. Is that all right with you?
Oh, yeah, that's a lot better than here. I think it was 3 weeks ago where we got about 8 or 9 inches of snow, and 5 of it dropped during a football game.
We won't get 8 or 9 inches of snow in my lifetime, so that's just fine with us down here. I'm impressed that you're going to be coming down to cover the game. I was doing a little bit of research on Kansas State, and I did not realize, because you have to go back a little bit, the run of basketball coaches that Kansas State has had over the last 30-plus years with Lon Kruger and Bob Huggins and Dana Altman and Frank Martin and Bruce Weber, and now Jerome Tang. What is Jerome Tang's program like, and what kind of stamp has he put on Kansas State?
Oh, he's a brilliant head coach, and he's one that basically governs his program with love. He creates a lot of excitement. He gets a lot of investment from fans and the student body because he invests in them. He goes around and probably to almost every fraternity and sorority house, almost every university function, just a lot of different student groups. And he thought maybe it would only happen in year one just because he was trying to draw, a lot of investment from the crowd and get everybody, rowing in the right direction. A lot of times that's what first-year head coaches do. No, he did it again this year. And he handed out his phone number to the freshman convocation each season, too. It says, if you ever need anything, you go ahead and give me a ring, give me a text or whatever. So he's a guy that's really not just about, what he's doing with his team on the basketball court and winning games, but he's really rallied a community together.
What was the identity of last year's team that made such a deep NCAA tournament run?
I think they played a fun brand of basketball. I think everyone remembers the NCAA tournament run where you got a lot of flashiness, right? Everyone loves the way they're playing behind the back passes, between the leg passes, alley-oops. But more than anything, they were run by 2 All-Americans, and these were bona fide All-Americans that everybody knew and everybody loved watching play basketball. That was Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson. This year's team a little different than that. But that was the identity of last year's club.
Yeah, we're very familiar with Keontae Johnson. Was such a great player at Florida before his career there was cut short, but great to see him land on his feet and have such a great year at Kansas State. This year's team loses those 2 guys, but right now at this point in the season, although it's early, you got 3 guys who are averaging 16.5 points per game in Arthur Kaluma, Cam Carter, and Tyler Perry. What can you tell us about that trio as they kind of lead the way offensively for this team?
Yeah, that's how these teams are 2 clubs that Jerome Tang has had, how they're built differently, right? Last year, you had 2 guys that could kind of go off and carry you, and they were all American. This year, they got at least 3 guys that can go and do it at this point, between Arthur Kaluma, Cam Carter, and Tyler Perry. None of them probably are warranting All-American status at this point, but it's still 3 guys that could probably go get you 20 points on any given night. Cam Carter, a little bit of a streaky 3-point shooter, but a guy that's got to the hoop very well this year, plays good defense as well. Tyler Perry, a transfer from North Texas, who they call the best shooter in America. I really think that he is the best shooter in America, but it always hasn't happened that way this year. A little bit of a slow start, most of that happening in the first half, but he's a mystic, all Mr. Big Shot for a reason. He's hit a lot of the big buckets in the last couple of weeks that have allowed Kansas State to already win 4 overtime games this year, including each of the last 3 games that went into overtime and have been victorious in every single one. Arthur Kaluma, a little bit more of a slasher right now. I think he's still trying to find his fit in this 5-out team that Kansas State runs offensively. But the more he plays, the better he's starting to look.
LSU still trying to find an identity here in year 2 under Matt McMahon. Will Baker, the 7-foot center, who's a transfer from Nevada, is probably the most skilled, not the best athlete, but he's a 7-footer that can shoot it a little bit. And when he gets neutralized, LSU has trouble scoring. So tell me about this Kansas State front court, I'm assuming led by Will McNair.
Yeah, Will McNair, who was at Mississippi State, right? So probably somebody that LSU has seen before. I believe Kansas State has seen Will Baker. I think he was at Texas.
He was
for a time period.
He was.
Both these teams probably familiar with those two players that they're going to be facing. So it'll be interesting. Kansas State will probably have David Gasson on him as well. It won't just be Will McNair. Maybe a little bit of former LSU Tiger Jarrell Colbert. He plays the 5 a bit for Kansas State and is getting better and better with the more action he's got. The game's still a little too fast for him, but he's slowly starting to play the brand of basketball that they want him to. So I'm really, to be honest, this year I'm trying to think back of what we've seen last year when there was a kind of a big man that could give teams problems. Kansas State struggled with him. That's been less the case this year. It's more or less a guard that can really beat teams off the dribble, or one that just gets hot from the 3-point line, because you can't help it sometimes when a guy's hot, he's hot. So big guys haven't really caused Kansas State a lot of problems this year, and Will McNair does play a lot in that. They didn't have a physical big man like him last year.
Chatting with Derek Young, covers Kansas State for the On3 Network, joining us here on the Jim's Firearms Hotline, talking a little hoops as it's Tigers and Kansas State coming up on Saturday. In terms of style of play, you've kind of mentioned it, but you expect Kansas State to run and gun a little bit in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, they're better when they play faster. Now, they've put some slower pace teams on their schedule this year just to force them into those kinds of games, because when you get to the NCAA tournament, you're going to see multiple different styles, and you have to win in multiple different ways. Jerome Tang, a big believer that the teams that make those second weekend runs, those Elite 8 runs, those Final Four runs, are because they can get into any kind of style or brand of basketball and still win. So Kansas State's trying to figure that out, but they do prefer to run fast. Now, I don't know that they prefer to go to overtime, but maybe they should. Now, because if you think about it, you guys probably remember Kansas State and LSU, I think, played in the Cayman Islands.
Yeah, nobody could watch it, and the clock messed up, but we do remember the game. We remember the game.
Yeah, no, Kansas State won that game. I think it was the first overtime win under Jerome Tang. You're not going to believe this. One of the most bizarre stats that I've ever seen in basketball, probably across the board. And it's only year 2 under Jerome Tang, but Kansas State is 9-0 in overtime.
There's got to be something to that. I mean, not 9-0, but the fact that a coach has the depth to get into overtime with foul trouble or whatever the case may be, and having a team execute late in games, I would tend to believe that's less a fluke and more a piece of the program, is what I would think, having not seen them.
Yeah, now I think it probably takes a bit of luck.
Right.
Because, but you're right. When you do it 9 times in a row, that's no longer a fluke. There's a reason why you're having at least close to that amount of success. And they say it after every overtime game that they win. They practice it every day, actually, which is interesting to me why you would practice an overtime session every single day of practice, but they do, and they call it 5 to grind.
They're doing a good job. Kansas State and LSU, a matinee in the PMAC on Saturday. Derek Young will be there covering it for On3 Sports. He covers K-State for them. Derek, safe travels down to Baton Rouge and enjoy the basketball.
Appreciate it.
He's Derek Young, covers the Kansas State Wildcats. That is wild, 9-0 in overtime. And Jarrell Colbert, that is not a name I have thought of, and I didn't get that far down the stat sheet when I was looking at Kansas State. I'll go deeper when I kind of give my preview tomorrow. But Jarrell Colbert, that's a Will Wade prospect that came in, never got off the bench for LSU, but was a long, rangy, big project that Will Wade was going to try to develop, and all of a sudden that uprooted and Colbert moved on, and now he's at K-State and playing some bench minutes for them. So Kansas State and LSU, the Wildcats come in 7-2. Their losses, an opener against Southern Cal back in November, and they lost a shootout against Miami in a matchup of ranked teams. Miami was in the top 10 before Kentucky got all over them a couple of weeks ago. So we'll talk a little bit more basketball tomorrow. When we come back, best win and worst loss in the NFL, and I get asked to do this all the time, and I am going to do it here. Give some of my thoughts and my disappointment in the world of golf. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electric. Got to give them a call over at Boudreaux's Electric, because winter storms, not this weekend when the high's 80. But winter storms can cause power outages as well. Protect yourself against those with Boudreaux Electric. They're a certified Generac generator dealer. They're a premier Generac generator dealer. Get that generator installed. One, it's going to power your home in the event of a power outage. But two, Boudreaux Electric takes pride in their installation. They use top-tier copper. They use underground installation so that it's going to be aesthetically pleasing. People take pride in the look at their homes. You don't want to have a generator with a bunch of wires and tubes all over the place. No, this is going to be professionally installed to look aesthetically pleasing and power your home in the event of a power outage. You think, I can't afford that. Think of it this way. For that 10-year warranty, it's free. The 10-year warranty is free. $5.20 a day. $5.20 a day for the peace of mind that comes with a Boudreaux Electric Generac generator. If you go ahead and give them a call at their New Gonzales location, which the phone line's open, they're going to open the doors here at the beginning of next year. It's 225-300-9389. Again, 225-300-9389. It's Boudreaux Electric.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. $20,000 off plus no payments for 90 days on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
It was a humid day. Barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
His name was Cain. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury.
This Sunday, as we bring you 3 different NFL games, we'll kick things off with our noon kickoff. It's the Jaguars and Browns. Immediately following that, it's Bills and Chiefs, and then our nightcap, the Eagles at Cowboys. Tune in to hear all 3 of those games here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Closing down our number one here on the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Rouse's official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. T-Ball will be out there tomorrow from 3 to 5. Just hanging out at Rouse's as we do each and every Friday, giving out gift cards, shirts, hats. So Rouse's, Burbank, and Lee, we'd love to see you tomorrow between 3 and 5 o'clock. T-Ball will be out there. If he can't make it, which he wasn't in for the show tomorrow, I'll be happy to jump in there. But somebody from 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge will be at Rouse's tomorrow, and we always enjoy our Friday afternoons over there at Burbank and Lee. Always do best win, worst loss. College football is over, so we'll just stick to the NFL before I get to a little bit of golf here to close out the hour. My best win in the NFL this week is going to obviously be the Cowboys at home. Philadelphia is coming to town. Obviously, Philly took it on the chin last week against the 49ers, and Dallas can tie the division if they were to win at home against Philly, and I think a lot of people think that Dallas is ready to make that jump. The Eagles have been a little leaky on defense, quite frankly, and they haven't run the ball quite as well as they did last year. So still a great team, and still a team that wouldn't surprise me at all if they went to Dallas and won. But I think the best win would be Dallas beating Philadelphia in Dallas to tie the NFC East. The worst loss in the NFL to me is tonight. The Steelers are somehow, some way clinging to a playoff berth here, and they got New England coming to town. This is not your Roethlisberger, Brady AFC Championship deep into the heart of the playoffs type matchup. This is an atrocious New England team that needs to get everything scrapped and redone, and a Kenny Pickett-ish led Steelers team that finds a way to win even though they're not really great at anything. The defense is pretty good, but that would be, I think, the worst loss in the NFL if the Steelers lost at home to New England, because that's a tough division, and they've got some tough games coming up, does Pittsburgh. So that's best win and worst loss. I do want to react, we have 4 minutes here, to the news in the world of golf today, that Jon Rahm is reportedly going to take an offer from LIV. There have been reports of $400 million, $450 million, $500 million for Jon Rahm to join LIV. And I tweeted out earlier today, so disappointing. And for the 977th time, I had a gotcha guy jump in the mentions and be like, oh, he's taking life-changing money? How can you fault the player? So you wouldn't take a huge raise? They offered you $400 million? You wouldn't go to a different radio station? It's like, it's never been the point. It's never been my point. My point has always been, it super bums me out that Saudi Arabia showed up and split golf in half. And now it's inarguable. When they take Ian Poulter and Lee Westwood and Phil Mickelson and all these, who cares? Paul Casey, Chase Koepka, nobody cares. I don't care about Pat Perez. Like, none of that matters. But the fact of the matter is that I like to watch golf when they play at Riviera or at, in Hawaii in the first week of January down there. I like watching the Arnold Palmer. I like watching at Harbor Town.
Players.
I like watching the Players and Memorial and Colonial. Like, I like that. Most of you don't. I do. And now, when they tee it up at all those places throughout the year, there's no Jon Rahm. There's no Cam Smith. There's no Brooks Koepka. There's no Bryson DeChambeau. And those guys are incredible. They're great players. And now, they don't play against Justin Thomas or Rory McIlroy or Jordan Spieth. They don't play against Scottie Scheffler. You've split it in half. It would suck just as bad for all of you that listen if Clemson, Ohio State, USC, Florida, Miami, Oklahoma went one place and Georgia, Alabama, LSU, and Notre Dame and whoever went somewhere else. Like, splitting the sport in half sucks. And Jon Rahm said over and over again that if I got $300 million, my lifestyle wouldn't change. I'm here for the legacy. I want to play against the best players in the world. And he punted on all that for the cash. Now, I believe, because Jon Rahm's a smart guy, every answer he's always given has indicated that he feels like, okay, I just won the Masters. I've already won a U.S. Open. I'm in the Masters for life. I got exemptions for the next 5 to 10 years, depending on the majors, because of my wins. I don't have to worry about official world golf rankings. By the time my exemptions run out, whether that's 5 or 10 years, depending on the major, they'll have put this thing back together again, because they tried to make a merger and then it didn't work. And so I'll take the $500 million. I'll still play in the majors, which is all I really care about. And by the time I'm not exempt to some of these majors, if that time comes and he doesn't win another one, then the sport will be put back together again. And that's probably what he's thinking. And I can't tell you he's dead wrong. This has nothing to do with Jon Rahm or Brooks Koepka or Rory McIlroy. It has everything to do with the fact that now, which I enjoy doing all year long, get to tune into golf, it's split in half. half the good players are over here, half are over there. That's not good in any sport ever. And I despise Lib because it did that to me. It has nothing to do with oil money or blood money. It has nothing to do with Ian Poulter or Phil Mickelson taking sides. It's a failure by Jay Monahan. It's a money dump by Saudi Arabia, and I don't care about any of that stuff. I just want to watch the good golfers play, and that's been taken away from me, and I'm upset about it. Like, that's what I have to say about that. We got a minute left. Beck, you got any thoughts on any of that? I know you're a golf fan.
Yeah, I don't think that this is going to be good for the sport overall.
It's a mess.
It's a total mess, and the PGA, the way the PGA has handled it is far less than favorable and far less than what we would want them to do. So it just seems like the sport is going to be divided for at least a few more years, and I expect there may be a few more guys in the top 20 that may follow him. So we'll see.
This was a huge domino for them to get, and it just super bums me out. I know that a lot of y'all don't care about golf, but that was my 3 minutes on I Hate Liv. When we come back, we'll talk about the Saints. Is their defense still good? We'll see.
Life in Louisiana is a song. A symphony of sound, colors, and movement. Life is here, now. For life's moments, big and small, always there. The right card, the right care.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The best-kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown with breaking news. ESPN's Mark Schlabach reports Masters champ Jon Rahm will leave the PGA Tour to join Live Golf for a multi-year deal worth more than $300 million. Rahm is also recruiting players to fill out the roster for his Live Golf team. NFL Week 14 kicks off tonight in Pittsburgh, where the 7-5 Steelers host the 2-10 Patriots. 41-year-old place kicker Robbie Gould announces his retirement today in a story on the Players Tribune. Gould played for 18 years, mostly with the Bears and 49ers. Outfielder Juan Soto, now a Yankee after a trade with the Padres. ESPN's Jeff Passan.
He is a bona fide superstar. Now, they paid a hefty price for a guy who's going to be a free agent after the 2024 season, but frankly, they needed to. Coming off a disappointing year in New York, now they're able to pair him and Aaron Judge in an outfield that looks a lot more dangerous.
Jeff Passan. Bob Chesney is the new head football coach at James Madison.
Are you overwhelmed by insurance? Make it easy. Get all your insurance in one place with Geico. Plus, get 24/7 claim support and on-the-go policy access with the award-winning Geico mobile app. See how easy insurance can be and go to geico.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Rouse's Markets, official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. They bring you all of our Thursday shows. We certainly appreciate them. Got a lot to get to in hour 2. Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, with us in 15 minutes. But I want to start with the New Orleans Saints and Carolina Panthers, as they will play a monster game for the New Orleans franchise on Sunday. Monster, if you want to talk about the future of Dennis Allen, Pete Carmichael, anybody involved in the coaching staff. Monster, if you want to talk about winning the division. You want to think short term. You want to think long-term. You want to think small picture. You want to think big picture. This game is huge for New Orleans. And this Panthers team that's coming in stinks. They're terrible. It's an awful football team. They fired their first-year head coach 2 months into the year. They're awful at owner. They don't have a head coach. Their first-year quarterback's head spinning. They don't score at all on offense. This is a bad team coming into New Orleans. I'll read you some statistics about this Panthers offense. They're third to last in the NFL in yards per game. They're third to last in passing yards per game. They're fourth to last in points per game. They're seventh to last in rushing yards per game. Bottom 7 in the NFL in all these categories offensively. Their one win was 15-13 against Houston. That's the only win they had this year. They have scored 25 points in a game one time. They've got 1 or fewer touchdowns in 7 of their 12 games, and that includes their win where they scored 1 touchdown. Another way to put that, they've scored multiple touchdowns in 5 of their 12 games. Bryce Young has 1 multi-touchdown game to his name this year. He's got 3 multi-interception games. Adam Thielen still isn't practicing. He's got a high ankle sprain. He'll probably grit it out and go on Sunday. Chuba Hubbard has run for 65-plus yards in 2 of 12 games. They don't do anything well on offense. They don't pass it. They don't run it. They turn it over. They don't score. They don't do anything well on offense. And so 2 months ago, if I was looking at this Saints defense, against an offense that had these kind of statistics, I would go, they're going to put this thing into a blender. They will bottle this team up. It'll be no problem. A light snack for this Saints defense. One of the best in the league. Well, let's fast forward now to December 7th, which is where we are today. Let me give you some thoughts on the Saints defense. Less thoughts, more numbers. Where do you think the Saints rank in the NFL in yards per game on defense? They're 15th, middle of the pack. Where do you think they are in rushing yards per game given up? They're 24th, bottom third of the league. Where do you think they are in sacks per game? Can't stop the run. Maybe we'll rush the passer. Sacks per game, 30th. There's two teams worse. Sack percentage. Now we're just talking how many dropbacks. We're taking the nuance out of it. When teams drop back, how often do you sack them? They're 31st in the league. There's one team worse. Do they get off to good starts on defense? Well, first quarter points per game allowed. You're 27th in the NFL. You don't get off to good starts ever. Well, how do you close games? Do you finish them strong? That's the sign of a good defense. 20th in the NFL in fourth quarter points per game allowed. The Saints do two things on defense reasonably well. They're pretty good against the pass, 7th in the league in pass yards allowed per game. Some of that's skewed because they're always playing from behind and teams are running it. But I think Lattimore, when he was healthy, was good. Obviously not now. Adebo's played well. Taylor's pretty good. Matthews had a couple of picks. Now May's hurt and on IR. But they've been pretty good at stopping the pass, and they've gotten some turnovers. They're 5th in the NFL in turnovers created. And Bryce Young will turn the football over. We've seen that. But this defense that was the cornerstone of the franchise moving forward under Dennis Allen. You knew Drew Brees was gone. Sean Payton moved on. Okay, what are we going to do? Well, the defense is really good. We don't have the quarterback anymore, but the defense is good. We'll leave the guy that's in charge of the defense to continue to run the defense. That'll be the cornerstone of what we do, and then we'll spend some money on offense, and we'll get it together. We've got Kamara. We've got Thomas. We've got an offensive line we've really invested in, so that should be good. We'll figure quarterback out. We know that's going to be tough. We'll try Jameis, and we'll figure quarterback out, but the defense will be what makes our franchise stable. It is crumbling. Crumbling. And I haven't even brought up the fact that you start to look at these stats and you go 15th in the league in yards per game, 24th in run yards per game, 30th in sacks, 31st in sacks percentage, almost the worst in the league in first quarter defense, bottom third of the league in fourth quarter defense. Oh, well, who have you played? Well, I'll tell you who we've played. Rattle off some names. Young, Love, Mayfield, Jones, Minshew, Bagent, Dobbs, Ritter. These are who you're playing to come up with these numbers. That list alone should put you in the top 10 in almost every statistical category on defense. The teams you're playing don't have any quarterbacks. The best two guys you've seen are probably Trevor Lawrence and Jared Goff. If you want to put C.J. Stroud in that conversation, I'm all ears. Fine. But come on, man. We know Pete Carmichael's in over his head. We know Derek Carr's struggling. He's been hurt. We know the offensive line has had massive problems trying to run block. We know Kendre Miller hasn't been out there, and Kamara missed time for a suspension, and Thomas got hurt. And we got all these issues on offense, but you thought you could lean on this defensive unit being the backbone of the franchise. It's not. Cam Jordan is old. Your two free agent acquisitions in the middle of the defense are flops. Your rookies aren't ready. Your best corner is hurt. Your safeties are aging and one's on IR. I don't know how to paint this picture all rosy other than to tell you that the Panthers probably suck worse. But I'll tell you this. If the defense can't find a way to shut Carolina down and the offense bogs down the way that it has at times and you lose this game on Sunday, turn out the lights in the dome because you're not going to want to see what's going on in there. Bagheads, booze, opposing fans, pink slips, cleaned out offices and lockers. None of it's good. And I wouldn't be around for any of it. So I was a little taken aback by some of these statistics. And statistics don't always tell the entire story. But when you pair these with the fact that you've lost 3 games in a row, that you're a 5-win team with 7 losses, that your wins have come against Carolina, the worst team in the league, New England, the second worst team in the league, Indy and Chicago with backup quarterbacks. Where am I supposed to point for the light? Might as well just keep them off. Saints and Panthers coming up Sunday at noon in the Dome. Get your tickets now. $15. You can get in. I was looking at tickets early in the season. It was like $120 to get in up there in the terrace level. No longer. Come on in, Lions fans. I don't think any Panthers fans are going to show up. But I don't know. They better win on Sunday or else trouble down in the 504. Our Thursday show is brought to you by Rouse's. We'll chat with the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair. Probably just called his second Heisman Trophy winning season in Baton Rouge. We'll ask him about it coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, no better time to get in on the action. The app's so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame money line wager required. For $10 first deposit required. Bonus issues, non-withdrawable bonus bet. It expires 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or someone who knows a gaming problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Step inside an Infiniti QX50, and you'll find a suite of driver-focused features tailored to your tastes.
The Dome, it's state championship week in high school football, and we get things started at 6 with Louisiana Prep Preview presented by Brock. And at 7, it's the select Division I state championship game between the Catholic High Bears and Acadiana Wrecking Rams. All right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You are listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Moving right along here on a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, working towards the weekend. The weekend will bring a Heisman Trophy ceremony in New York, as well as some basketball on the hardwood in the PMAC, LSU, and Kansas State. And the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, will no doubt be paying attention to all of it. He joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Chris, how are you?
Good, Hunt. How you doing?
Doing very well. This is very likely the second Heisman Trophy winner you'll have had the pleasure of watching game in and game out here at LSU. When you think back on Jaden Daniels' year, what stands out?
Just, really the improvement. I remember talking to you and others, there in the late summer during fall camp that, just listening to coaches, listening to what they thought he had done in the offseason, that we were possibly going to see the type of jump we saw from Joe Burrow in 18 to 19. And I remember, in late August and early September, Hunt, like just talking about it, comparing that while at the same time prefacing by saying, hey, look, I'm not saying he's going to have a Joe Burrow year. What I'm saying is that with all of the things that a quarterback needs to do to be successful, all indications are he really has improved and made a major jump, and that should impact what we see on the field. And then, midway through the season, you start looking at the numbers and you think, you know what, he might actually make the Joe Burrow 18 to 19 jump. And here we are in December, and I think that is the case. So that's probably the most enjoyable thing, is that you heard he was going to make a major jump. And I don't think any of us had any expectation, while certainly hoping he would have a great year. I don't think we thought we were going to see what we ended up seeing.
Is there a play or a game that stands out?
For me, it's funny. I said this last year, and to me, it was last year's Ole Miss game. And I know you're asking about this year. But in that Ole Miss game last year was the game that I felt like after several weeks of Coach Kelly talking about wanting to push the ball down the field, Mike Denbrock talking about wanting to be a little more aggressive, it was almost as if that's the moment where he said, you know what, I have confidence in my ability to put the ball vertical. And more importantly, I have the confidence that I've got a receiving core that if they're going up and it's in the vicinity of their hands, they're going to make the play. And he's had 2 solid years with great players around him. So for me, I thought, much like I did for Joe Burrow in the Fiesta Bowl to end 18, I kind of thought that Ole Miss game was where we saw the true Jaden Daniels. And then there were just games this year which were, I don't know, which game do you want to leave out where he at times didn't just put the team on his shoulders and said, okay, I've got to make up for a defensive mistake, or I've got to make up for a special teams mistake, and we've got to score for every possession we get the rest of the game. You think about how many times he did that and how improbable it is that you're going to be able to score as many times as he and this offense did.
You like watching him throw more or run more?
I like watching him throw more, just simply because I love the way he throws. And I've heard a lot of analysts, I've heard Pro Football Focus talk about the best long-distance football is thrown by Jaden Daniels, and I don't think any of us imagined that, early part of last season. And I'll be honest with you, as the season got deeper, I love watching him run. I just get nervous every time he does. That was kind of the reason I liked him throwing the ball a little bit more. But I really did, because it gets to showcase guys like Brian Thomas Jr. and obviously Malik Neighbors. So it just made me nervous when he got out and running.
See, and I get that too because I felt the same way. But I also enjoyed the total demoralization of defensive linemen and probably defensive coordinators, even though I couldn't see them, because you can dial it up exactly the way you want to, and you might cover Navis and Thomas, and you might have guys win at the line of scrimmage, but they can't catch him, and he just run away. He might run for 85 against Florida. He might run for 15 and get a first down, but it was just the way that he would break defenses' backs that way made me chuckle a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a lot like I described Joe Burrow. I remember saying a lot towards the back end of that 19 season that there were times where you knew the defensive coordinator had made the right call. He had the right fit. Their players made the right execution. They were there about to get home. And guess what? Joe Burrow makes you look silly and comes up with an incredible play. And that's what Jaden kept doing time and time again, which has to drive DCs absolutely bonkers. And you heard Coach Napier say it after the Florida game. We tried a little bit of everything. We tried all-out blitz. We tried faking all-out blitz. We tried coverage. It just didn't matter. Whatever we showed him, he did the opposite, and we couldn't stop him.
I had, as you know, a different head coach on every week on the pregame show from all over the athletic department, and most of the weeks I would give the Beth Serena quote that she gave at the Alumni Association event that I emceed back in August, saying I've been here for better than a decade. There's never been a better time to be an LSU Tiger, and you start to look at what Joe Burrow did and then what the baseball team did with Skeens and Cruz going 1-2 and the women's basketball team and Angel Reese and Livy Dunn, and we've got the number one women's amateur golfer in the world. And oh, by the way, when Beth said that, there wasn't another Heisman Trophy winner coming down the pike. You're over there every day. You're in the athletic. You're in the business of promoting LSU. I mean, can you feel that over there?
100%. I mean, I remember when I got here, which today is my 8th-year anniversary to the day, a day that will live in infamy.
Yeah.
That's how I help. You know, I'm a history student, so that's how I remember. I'm not good with dates, but I can remember December 7th. But, you know, when I got here, everybody talked when it comes to football about, I mean, obviously, if you watched LSU at all, you know, you saw where they had great linebackers. They obviously had great receivers. They had, you know, running back U. They had DBU. And everybody kept saying, you know, this team was great. We just didn't have the quarterback. If we had the quarterback, this team would have gone undefeated. And here, you know, 8 years into it, to have what I think is 2 Heisman winners in 5 years kind of changed that whole narrative in a really short period of time when you look at the whole history of LSU football. So that's the one thing that stands out to me is how things can change very quickly. But secondly, there's a lot more people that work in the building with me that have a lot more years at LSU. They went to LSU. Some of them played at LSU. And even they will talk in meetings from time to time how this is certainly one of the golden eras that we are in for LSU athletics, just simply from the winning, simply from the championships, from the single individual accolades. It's an exciting time to be here. It's always an exciting time, don't get me wrong. But when I hear other people who have been here a lot longer than me say, you know, enjoy every second of this because, you know, there's ebbs and flows in college athletics. And right now I think we're certainly on the trajectory that everybody wants to be. And I think since really Kim Mulkey and the women's basketball team, that run to Final Four and a national title, I don't know that there's a brand hotter nationwide than those 3 letters, LSU. And they will be on display in Times Square in New York coming up tomorrow.
We were walking out of the ballpark in Omaha in June. You were probably still doing the 10th inning show, and I was walking with my dad to the team hotel, go grab a beverage, and we were walking out, and there were 15,000 LSU fans coming out with us, and they just won the national championship. And he goes, "Man, I'm glad I went to LSU." I just laughed. It was an off the cuff line that wasn't even in the course of conversation, and that's something that's stuck with me, and it's very, very true at this point. It's a fun time to be at LSU. Speaking of LSU, the basketball team will be on the hardwood coming up on Saturday after a week off for final exams. It's a big non-conference matchup with Kansas State, one of the biggest ones we've seen in the PMAC from a non-conference perspective in a couple of years.
Yeah, I guess it goes back to, 16? Is that right, or 15, where you had kind of what you would consider a marquee Power 5 versus Power 5 inside the Marriott Center. It's a big game, and I think, helps put a spotlight on LSU basketball. But it's an important game, and it's not a be-all, must win, obviously, early in the non-conference. But, But for LSU standpoint, they get a week off. I know they had exams to deal with, but they've also been practicing. I know they get underway here in just a little bit for today's action. They've got to improve in a couple of things that, in years past when you see a team struggling, sometimes a team has a deficiency somewhere, Hunt, and they work really hard to fix it, and then it's like the dam bursting. One little thing you plug up, and then another hole springs loose. The encouraging thing about this is that it's really been the same things. I guess that's good and bad. It's been the same things that have really hurt this team, when they've struggled. And that, number one, starts with teams having the ability to drive at will.
Yep.
And we've talked about it on the radio when you played the Mississippi Valley States and the Nichols, and even when you played the Syracuse. When you allow teams to get to the paint, nothing happens till you touch the lane. Whether you're kicking it out or whether you're driving to get a foul or lay it up or dunk it, whatever the case may be. So our inability to stop them from driving at will against teams that can't finish maybe don't stand out as much as it does when you start to play teams who can finish. Syracuse was a team with Mintz who could finish, and he did time and time and time again. So that's the thing you have to improve on. This Kansas State team, just like LSU, it's radically different than the one I looked at in the Caymans last year when they couldn't work a clock. It's a different team. Doesn't say they're worse, doesn't say they're better. It's just they're a different team than they were a year ago. But it all is going to be dependent on being able to stop the dribble penetration. And if they can't do that, they'll struggle against Kansas State, and they will struggle the rest of the season, and things will get really ugly when they get to SEC play because, as you well know, there's a lot of really good backcourt finishers in the SEC. So at least I think the good news is they can really work on it. That's something you can improve on. It takes dedication, it takes effort, and it takes work. Let's see if this week between exams and what they've done in the practice, if they can improve that against Kansas State. I think that's the biggest one thing. Offense is going to come and go. This is a streaky team. I think at times they can shoot the ball from the perimeter well. I think there are times when they can get to the rim and Baker can operate in the lane. But if you can't stop the dribble drive defensively, you're going to lose games, 92 to 88. Where if you can stop the dribble drive, you can win games 80 to 65.
K-State got 3 guards that average 16 a game, so here they come down to Baton Rouge. There's one player I've wanted to ask you about because I talked to John Brady about him yesterday, and it's not a player that I thought would really play at all on this team, and all of a sudden he was starting the opener. And that's Mike Williams, the freshman point guard, who has maybe been thrust into some duty that wasn't foreseen because Jalen Cook has been absent. But Matt McMahon said the last game on Friday was the best game he's played as a Tiger.
Yeah, I think it was one of those decisions that Matt and the staff had to make. Like, do we want to literally pick him up and drop him in the deep end without, swimmies on? Or do we try to ease him in? And I think, as you said, without Jalen Cook, there weren't a whole lot of options. And I think after seeing him play the early part of the season and maybe the first 2 to 3 games, they felt like that each game incrementally he got more confident, he got better, and they might as well stick with him. And again, benefit short-term and benefit long-term for his career at LSU. And it really paid off with a solid performance the other night. He looks more in control. Poised was a word we used, as opposed to looking scared out there. There were some games early where he would have some ill-advised passes, maybe try to go behind the back in traffic a little too much, a little too flashy, that you got away with a year ago in the high school ranks, that you just don't get away with in Division I basketball. Those things have started to diminish a little bit, and he's more becoming the straw stirring the drink. And again, when he finds his shot and he can get to the rim, get some points, that's kind of lagniappe as far as I'm concerned. But I think they've made a decision that he's going to be the guy. And, there's going to be moments he's going to look like a true freshman. But I think the upside is much more valuable to this team based on personnel right now. And, I don't think there's anything that's going to hurt by not letting him get the minutes and get the experience he's getting right now. Because the fact is, if the NCAA gets their act together and makes the right decision and allows Jalen to return to the team and start playing, Mike Williams is still going to be called upon quite a bit in conference play come January. So right now, you don't have the option. Give him all the minutes you can give him.
We'll see you in the PMAC on Saturday, Chris. Thanks.
You got it, Hunt. Thank you.
He's Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers, with us every single Thursday. Our Thursday show is brought to you by Rouse's Markets, official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Download the Rouse's app. makes things so easy. A lot of people don't like spending a ton of time in the grocery store. I love going in the Rouse's. It's clean. It's a great shopping experience. Tons of great options. But if you're on a tight schedule, do your shopping on the app. Set a pickup time. Let them bring your groceries right out to you curbside. Be there in no time. And if you spend $35+, you don't have to spend an extra cent on the curbside pickup action over there at Rouse's. It's easy to spend $35 on groceries. Let them do the shopping for you. Rouse's Markets, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. We'll take a time out. Come back with more. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Jersey Mike's, Highway 30 in Gonzales near the new Heritage Shopping Center. Love those cheesesteaks. You order the traditional cheesesteak with the onions and the peppers. You order the bacon ranch chicken cheesesteak. Place that order. Meat goes right there on the flat top. They warm it up right in front of you. Melt that cheese over the top, and they've got fresh baked bread. Slide it on there. It is a delicious hot sub. Cold subs are fantastic as well. I'll tell you about the club sub and the original Italian every single day. The original Italian is their best seller. Number 13 on the menu. It's quite tasty. Prosciutto, capicola, ham, salami, pepperoni, provolone. And their catering's fantastic as well. I love telling you about Jersey Mike's. If you're looking to feed a Christmas party, feed the office for lunch, have a birthday party coming up or anything like that, Jersey Mike's can help you out. And for Hunt Palmer Show customers, 20% off your catering order at the Highway 30 in Gonzales location of Jersey Mike's. Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Wheels Up to New York City. Musso will drive you home. He'll have Mike Triplett and the latest in the transfer portal, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
We have the Saints injury report updated from today. There are some upgraded players from Wednesday to Thursday's practice. Ryan Ramczyk, with his knee injury, was limited on Wednesday, fully participated today. Same goes for Eric McCory, who's dealing with a shoulder injury. To two Saints starters on the offensive line listed as full participants there. Andrews Pete still listed as a limited participant. Cam Jordan did not practice yesterday. He was listed as limited today. Still no practice for Taysom Hill. Still no practice for Rashid Shaheed or Kendre Miller. And today, in addition to the injury report, and I use an injury there with air quotes, Chris Olave did not practice today with an illness. So we'll see how things go for him. So that's your look at the Saints injury report. It's a big one. The Panthers injury report is out as well. Deshaun Williams, running back, did not practice. DJ Johnson, an outside linebacker, for personal reasons, didn't practice. Everybody else, limited participation, including Troy Hill out at corner, Taylor Moton at tackle, Von Bell. So it's a lot of folks on the injury report. J.C. Horn, a limited participant. Stephon Sullivan from right here in the South Louisiana region. It's a healthy injury report. I think tomorrow will tell the biggest story for the Saints and the Panthers, but that's what we've got as of today on this Thursday. Let's talk a little college football here in this segment. An entry to the transfer portal, and obviously our ears perk up, our eyes focus in a little closer when a Louisiana native who does not play at LSU goes into the transfer portal, and that happened earlier today. Florida running back Trevor Etienne entered his name into the transfer portal with 2 years of eligibility remaining. This is a kid, obviously Travis's younger brother, who is from the Lafayette area and has been a really good player at Florida for the last 2 years. You're talking about over 1,400 carries at Florida, and he's averaging about 6 yards a carry over 2 seasons. He's run for 14 touchdowns. He's made 30 catches in his Florida career. And he had a really nice day here in Baton Rouge with 18 carries for 99 yards and 3 touchdowns in that loss to LSU in November. This is the type of player I would welcome LSU adding to the running back room. I don't know if Trevor Etienne has any plans whatsoever at even looking at LSU. I know that the Etienne family was rubbed a little bit the wrong way when LSU, under Les Miles, went full steam ahead for Cam Akers, and that allowed Travis to go out the door to Clemson, where he became the ACC's all-time touchdowns leader. And Trevor jumped in with Billy Napier at Florida 2 years ago and was never really in play for LSU. It's possible. I don't know this. I don't know any Etiennes. It's possible that they just don't like LSU very much because of the way that Travis was handled. I don't know. Would make some sense. We'll see. But if Trevor's looking for a landing spot and would like to remain in the SEC, I think LSU would make a ton of sense. I think Caleb Jackson has a remarkably bright future at LSU. If Josh Williams wants to come back, he's a veteran presence there. Trey Holly had a couple of nice shining moments there at LSU, but the LSU I know can cycle through NFL backs. The LSU I know has Jacob Hester and Keelan Williams and Charles Scott ready to go. The LSU I know has Alfred Blue and Jeremy Hill and Kenny Hilliard and Michael Ford ready to go. The LSU I know has Leonard Fournette and Darius Geis. That's the LSU that I know. And kind of gotten away from that a little bit over the last couple of years with guys like, these guys are going to play in the NFL. And Trevor Etienne, I believe, is going to play in the NFL. He's a little undersized. He's only 5'9", 5'10", but he's a good runner. And he's not going to win the Heisman next year, I don't think. But he's a veteran, and he's a proven SEC back. And if you could pair him with Caleb Jackson, I really think that's a high-level SEC backfield. Is Leonard Fournette in the backfield? I don't think so. I don't think either one of those guys is Leonard Fournette. But that's a high-level SEC backfield if you could do it. So I would love it if Trevor Etienne came down to Baton Rouge. If you check message boards and that type of situation. Georgia comes up a lot as a potential landing home for Trevor. I think LSU adding a veteran running back who's proven would be a really, really good thing. We've seen Noah Cain come in and make his contribution here and there, but ATN would make a lot of sense. I would love it. He had a great couple of years in Gainesville, and the transfer portal continues to cycle through. It hasn't really hit LSU too hard. Jackson McGowan went in yesterday. You saw LaTerrence Welsh jump in the transfer portal. Trey Bradford has said he's headed elsewhere. But it hasn't been a mass exodus by any stretch in Baton Rouge. And that's like job number one, is to recruit your own roster. It used to be like continue to recruit high school players. Well, you got to do that. And you've got to go get other players from the portal and supplement what you're doing, specifically for LSU defense, because they've got to get better there. But you've also got to deal with your guys. And it's a really tough thing to do, because if they're upset for any reason, whether it's not playing enough, not winning enough, girlfriend dumped you, somebody's sick at home, like anything can happen. They could be gone in a flash. Look at College Station. It's a mass exodus over there, and that should be expected with a coaching change. That's just part of what happens. LSU's got some stability with their head coach, with their offensive coordinator right now, with their defensive coordinator as well, and I expect that to continue. So you would expect that LSU would do fairly well there, and they have, but you still got to add. And I'm not sure how things are going for Sunbelt Billy over there in Gainesville. This is a guy you kind of built your offense around for the last couple of years. And, well, he's decided he's going to head out, go somewhere else. So I would be in favor of Trevor Etienne coming to Baton Rouge. I just have absolutely no earthly idea if that's something that he'd be willing to look into. But we'll keep you updated on all the comings and goings in the transfer portal as they happen. It's like I can't refresh Twitter fast enough to figure out what's going on in the transfer portal. Every time you click the button, there's somebody else that's jumping in there. So we're working towards the finish line here on a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Rouse's. Appreciate you hanging with us. Reminder, we'll be at Rouse's tomorrow from 3 to 5 o'clock. T-Bob likely there, maybe myself, and we'll be handing out gift cards, cups, hats. If you're looking to do your weekend shopping tomorrow, head on to Rouse's, Burbank and Lee, and we will be there. We'll come back and close out a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. Marucci Sports, a champion of Louisiana. Been telling you about them all fall long. Started right here in Baton Rouge, just making some bats. Turned into a whole lot more than making some bats. They've become one of the leaders in the baseball industry. Their baseball performance lab brings talented people from all over the country to work in it, to experience it, to learn more about it. Plus, they drive tourism dollars here with the Marucci World Series that attracts thousands of youth athletes and coaches, parents, to come to Baton Rouge each and every summer. Marucci Sports is a champion of Louisiana. If you know a champion of Louisiana, nominate them at lwcc.com/champions. We can tell their story right here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Marucci Sports is a champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana Loyal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service, or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Hurry into your local Acura dealer for the Season of Performance event going on now.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there.
For a Friday edition of Off the Bench, as we preview Week 14 in the NFL, including Saints versus Panthers. Plus, we recap Pelicans-Lakers from Las Vegas and the Thursday night football matchup between the Steelers and the Patriots. 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Heisman Watch for LSU's Jaden Daniels, and we want to give you a front row seat live from Legends in New York City. Catch After Further Review with Matt Moscona Friday at 3 p.m. Then Saturday, Matt hosts the Heisman Preview Show at 5 p.m. live on Eagle 98.1 and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Our coverage is brought to you locally by Acura of Baton Rouge, Insurance Network of Louisiana, and Community Steel.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Legends is on my New York list. My New York list has dwindled a little bit. I've checked quite a few things off. If I was thinking about New York things I want to do, I'd like to see Legends. I've never been to Yankee Stadium, old or new, so I'd like to do that. This is down the list, but if I was offered an opportunity to go, which would probably never happen because of football, but I'd like to see the U.S. Open too in New York. But I've done a lot of the other things. Oh, I got to bring this up. Alyssa and I went in October of 2021. Myers was born in December that year, so she was pretty pregnant. But we went for like a baby moon type deal. Went for the bye weekend, Halloween. I was so excited. We bought tickets to the 9/11 museum. I had never been. I really wanted to go. And everywhere we had been in New York to that point had asked for vaccine cards, but I had it on my Louisiana ID app. They didn't take apps.
Oh,
so
no.
you can just walk over here and get your refund. You're out. I was so mad.
That sucks.
It was in October of 21.
I got to go last year. It's pretty incredible.
Made me real cranky. All right, let's play Take It or Leave It.
All right, first one here. As we mentioned earlier, John Rahm going to live. At least 2 more top 20 players will follow Rahm. Take it or leave it.
I'll probably take it. I mean, at this point, they know that this is going to come together. If you have not won a major, then you're going to have trouble because you're going to not be able to get in with your official world golf ranking points. But if you've won one and they're going to offer you $300 million, like, you might as well take it and play the majors and then come back. It's just ripped golf in half, and it makes me sick. But that's a lot of money, and it is what it is. It really makes me sad.
Along with Trevor Etienne, who you mentioned in the last segment, half of Billy Napier's first signing class with Florida are in or were in the transfer portal at one time. Napier is out by next year. Take it or leave it.
I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna look at what I'm gonna look at their schedule for next year and see, because I'm sure it's brutal. Again.
Yeah.
I don't know who I don't know if it's Rodemaker or who Florida State's quarterback is next year. So I can imagine they won't be quite as good. But you look at Florida.
They're
going to
lose a lot. Yeah, Florida State's going to lose a lot.
Right, and so I'm curious how many games I think that Florida is going to lose, and of course ESPN doesn't have it. So, I think he'll get fired next year. I'll take it. I think he's in over his head a little bit, and this is coming from a guy I said that's who I would hire. And you start to hear some things. Not that I have a lot of sources in Gainesville, but I have heard a couple of whispers from some people that know some things over there that it's not great. And
so I got the schedule for 2024, and
give me the I don't care about non-conference unless there's another one besides Florida State.
Yeah, their first game will be against Miami in the Swamp, so that'll be interesting.
Okay.
But they've got A&M at home.
Okay.
They play A&M. UCF out of conference as well. That could be interesting.
Yeah.
And then Tennessee at Tennessee.
Yeah.
And then of course Georgia. Then they are home against Ole Miss. And then they are home against Kentucky, home for LSU, away at Mississippi State.
He's getting fired.
All
Ole
right,
Miss, LSU, Tennessee, Georgia, Miami, Florida State. It's just
and then Texas is the last.
It's too much.
Well, Texas, no, UT will be their last game of the season. Yeah,
way too much.
Yep.
Fired.
All right,
Sunbelt Billy.
Yep.
What Sunbelt team's got an opening? I got your guy.
Hey, maybe you go to Tulane. Willie Fritz just left, so. All right, next one here. Colorado head coach Deion Sanders said he wished he had a little more privacy in his first season in Boulder. You believe this? Take it or leave it.
We'll leave that. You got a camera crew following you everywhere you go. You got game day coming. You're on Barstool Sports all the time. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna privacy. I'm not gonna give you. Now I will give Deion one little bouquet here. Not a bouquet, maybe just one rose. His recruiting class has been atrocious, and they did sign the number one tackle in the country. Well, they didn't sign. They got a commitment from the number one tackle in the country. Today. So that's what people thought was going to happen. But I'm sitting here looking at a class that's ranked in the 60s, and that doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. That's one good get. You said they're going to overhaul the defensive line. If I'm a betting man at this point, I'm betting against Deion to make it work at Colorado. But that was a good step in the right direction today.
Tonight, Steelers-Pats over-under is 30, the lowest in NFL history. Under, take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. Give me the over.
Really?
Give me the over.
Oh, and by the way, remember? I remember last week we had the Iowa first half point over under 0.5. That went under. That went under. Hunt.
They went under. They did not score a point the whole game. Not only the first half, they didn't score a point the whole game.
Yeah.
These are NFL teams. Get out there and score some points. 30. That means I got to get to 20 to 10 to push.
It's not happening, Hunt. I'm taking the under. It's gonna be 13 to 3. The final score.
That's bad football.
Yeah, it is. These are bad teams.
Pick sixes.
The Patriots are horrible.
Scoop and score. Terrible towels. That's probably
Giants Jets last week. What was it? 7-10, I think.
It's probably
it's going to be under.
All right. Who wants to take an under 30?
Well, no one. I mean, I don't think anyone does. But if you think it's going to hit, I mean, do it. Who cares?
All right.
All right, last one. Juan Soto is the answer to the Yankees' offensive woes. Take it or leave it.
I don't know how bad they were on offense. Tim Kirkjian rolled off all these stats last year. He's like they hit like 213 as a team. Their on base percentage was just abysmal. Juan Soto is phenomenal. I wanted the Cubs to get him very, very badly. Phil Hughes, who used to pitch for the Yankees, said he's going to hit 25 home runs to right field in Yankee Stadium on accident with that swing. That was a big move from them. I thought the Cubs were going to do it.
I'll take it.
I'll take it. I will take one. So, well, he's one of the answers. I mean, they probably have to get some better performances from Stanton and Torres and some of those guys. But DJ hitting towards the top of the lineup in front of Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. That's a pretty comfy spot to hit if you're DJ LeMahieu. So hopefully he has another really good year up there in New York. I don't have to worry about what the Yankees do. They're in the other league. So I'll keep worrying about my Cubs and whether or not they can get Ohtani, which
not looking good.
Not sounding good. Not sounding good at all. They got to figure something out from the left side of the plate because they sure as heck don't have it at this moment. All right, that's it for our Thursday edition. We open things up talking about Mel Kiper's scouting report on Jaden Daniels. I found it incredibly fascinating. If you want to hear that segment, you can find it at Hunt on LSU on YouTube or in all the platforms where we post our sound daily. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, or on 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab. You can hear that. Luke Johnson talked Saints and what's gone wrong with this defense, what's the injury situation for the offense. That'll be on Hunt on Saints on our YouTube channel as well. Derek Young covers Kansas State for On 3. He was with us at 1:30 breaking down the basketball game coming up on Saturday. Best win, worst loss in the NFL, plus me whining and complaining about John Rahm. That was in the first hour. I gave statistics on the Panthers offense and the Saints defense. You know the Panthers offense stinks. You may not have known how bad the Saints defense was. That's going up on Hunt on Saints on YouTube as well. Subscribe to that channel if you would. We certainly appreciate it. Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers, is with us at 2:15. And Trevor Etienne is in the portal, Florida running back from right here in Louisiana. Would he make sense for LSU? I made that case at 2:30 before we played a little bit of Take It or Leave It. So catch all of that on demand wherever you find your sound. Our Thursday shows brought to you by Rouse's Markets. Download the app. There's always great deals over there at Rouse's. Wherever you may be in South Louisiana, there's a Rouse's location near you. Make them your holiday choice for your shopping coming up this month. They got their poinsettias out at the Burbank and Lee location. If you're looking to decorate the house for Christmas affordably, Rouse's has some poinsettias there, so pick it up while you're getting your grocery shopping done. We'll be out there at 3 o'clock until 5 o'clock tomorrow. That's it from me here on a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Matt is on a jet plane to New York. He's going to be at Legends tomorrow doing AFR. That means Muso is in the captain's chair. He's coming up next. We'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. You're listening to 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.